All right, next, let's take a look at this glide option. Right now, it's all the way to the maximum. If I reduce it, you can see how the shape changes. It sounds a bit odd in this mode here. Let's switch back to a sine wave and let's try that again. So now we have this normal sine wave shape. I'll also make it a bit faster. Now if I bring this down, from a sine wave, we're gradually morphing to a square shape. Now it gets a lot more interesting when we discover the editing feature for the shape itself. So if I hit this plus button, we have now added a third stage on this LFO. So now we have stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. And it's steppy because of the glide. If I move the glide all the way to the highest, it's back to that sine wave shape. So you can create some pretty interesting shapes by just adding additional steps. And adjusting the glide. Now this is kind of like a global glide amount, but for each step, you also have glide. Now nothing seems to be making a difference on number 1 here. Same when I adjust number 2's glide amount. But let's bring this glide all the way down. And now you can see that we have some glide on number 2. So you can individually choose to add glide on these steps. The value will just adjust the position, but you can also adjust it directly here. Now let's say we're using this LFO to modulate the pitch of the oscillator. And I'll set the range to the highest. And I do want it to be steppy. But I want it to be a bit more musical. Right now it's just gliding along across all the different notes. I can turn on this button here, and now we have a piano roll reference for individual notes. So we can make a more musical step sequence with this. Now we can add up to 16 individual steps. And it can be a bit tedious to do this manually, so there are presets. So clicking over here will show us all the different presets. Let's go into the sequence category here. It's a bit off the screen, but I'm loading in a 16-step sequence. That's what it sounds like, but of course I can adjust it manually. And we can also introduce glide on individual steps. Works best when you're playing just a single note for something like this. I'm going to reset this back to a basic sine wave shape. And now I want to show you the random feature here. So if I turn on random, now this one step is set to random mode. That means it can be somewhere up top here or somewhere down over here and anywhere in between every time the LFO repeats. Let's disconnect it from pitch here and let's just say it on the filter cutoff. Let's make the rate a bit faster. So you notice how, even though it's pretty much like a sine wave, you can hear that it's changing every time it repeats because of this first step being set to random. If I turn that off, you get a very consistent modulation shape there. I'll select number 2 here. Now instead of a sine wave curve, we can choose any of these other curves. We have the square or square root or just a normal sine. But of course I can also turn on random. And you don't get to control anything here. It's just set to random. Let's randomize the first one as well. So now we have 2 random steps. So as you can see, pretty powerful this LFO that's built into Twin 3. In the next tutorial, we're going to check out some of the other modulator options we have here.